Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk, where we have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation.
Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation about band, HBCU, band culture, music education, and more. This might be an and more night. This is probably gonna be one of them nights where we get to the and more. But first, before we get started into all that, Portia, what's going on?
Work, and more work.
Yeah. That was basically the conversation we just had offline before we started everything up. While I'm on this thought, Quan will not be with us tonight. He's handling some very, very important business. So, I'll just say we'll send our prayers out to him. Y'all pray for him and pray for one of our brothers. But with that being said, though, it's been a very interesting week. 2 weeks, I guess, however you want to say it, in the band community. And I will say this: I think it's very funny, in the sense that Portia don't be knowing none of this stuff that's going on. Not a one. Which is cool. I mean, when you disassociate yourself and you take your time off, you take your time off. I'ma see if I can catch you up without catching you up. Meaning,
okay.
I guess what I'm saying is there was I'll break it down. So I'm not gonna say names. I'm just gonna say the situation. So there was a situation because
I'm laughing at Simon talking about he reporting live from the trenches. You need to come on in here then.
But that's what it is. Okay, so
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so somebody, I'm not saying any names. There's a person who has a doctorate degree who in their doctorate degree wrote their dissertation about teaching in the trenches, and they submitted that to Midwest. It was denied. Somebody else submitted this year. It was accepted. Called Teaching in the Trenches. And there's just been a really big back and forth about this particular situation. Some people said it was stolen. Some people said it could have been just by coincidence. A lot of things went down. A lot of lives happened. In these lives, some people and certification got brought up, and lack of certification. I saw somebody talking about getting sued. It's been a crazy week, and so that's what the trenches came from. Not to mention the fact that the reason why I said I was not going to say any names, because the person from the origin of all of this said that they didn't want it to be brought up as much anymore. And so because of that, I'm trying to be as vague as possible while still telling you the story. So there we go. But it's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy week. But this is kind of where the topic for today came from, because the more conversation I started having, the more information I started receiving about this, and it made me realize some things. And so I think we might end up in the band lane, in the music lane, but I think we might end up just talking like life tonight, because I think there's some part of these conversations that we need to have. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this. So first off, with this particular situation, what I'm hearing so far is, and I will also go by saying this. There were some people who were saying that they were going to boycott Midwest because of the particular situation that had went down. But there are some things that are happening behind the scenes. And one of the things that are happening behind the scenes is, because of this particular uproar, this may ruin, and I'm only speculating, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but because of this particular uproar, this may ruin the possibility of anybody else from an HBCU wanting to apply to give a session at Midwest, because of the fact of how this thing took off and caught like wildfire.
I got questions.
I may have some answers for you. May.
So the topic was denied the
Right.
first time.
Correct.
The same exact topic was submitted by somebody else and it was granted.
Yes and no. And see, this is where it gets
That's I'm just trying to make sure I'm following.
Right. No. So this is kind of where it gets a little sketchy for me, because
Okay.
the main title was the one thing, but the subtitles were different, I guess you want to say.
Okay.
Kind of in the same premise, but not directly.
Okay, I got a question. Another
Okay.
one now that you've cleared that up. Thank you, my brother.
Okay.
Did the person who submitted the second one have any knowledge or any background information or any way of knowing that that was submitted before?
That's the problem. That's for me is where I get a little sketchy, because those are the parts of the conversation that I don't know. But those are the questions that I've had since this whole thing started.
And why I'm asking that is, like, this person on some kind of committee that would have known, received, gotten insight to what was submitted and denied, and then flipped it around a little bit and came back.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. And again, but that's been a lot of the conversation that has been happening and surrounding this, is like, how do we know that that's exactly what happened? You know, what evidence was given to show that that's exactly what happened? And so there's been two sides of the coin on these conversations. And so, you know, that's the, I was looking at Chuck's comment.
It's Googleable? Is that a word?
I don't know if Googleable is a word, but it's
okay.
It's a very fun word to say, Googleable.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's, Chuck, I think that you know, that's the thing that a lot of people were talking about, is the fact that just the topic or the name itself is you know, pretty standard. You know, and so again, I don't know, or, and some people know. I'm going to say I don't know if what exactly what you were asking, did this person know anybody, so on and so forth. If that's how it happened, we don't know. And yes, they don't have minority focused sessions at Midwest. But let me before we get into this full conversation about what I wanted to talk about, I started talking about this on Luke's Band Report. And guys, if you haven't watched that, go back and watch that, because I said a lot of stuff. And also, if you haven't watched Crystal's episode of Diary of a Lady Band Director, where she talks about Title I schools, you might want to go back and watch that as well. But here's the thing, though, and this is my problem. They don't have minority focused sessions. Most music educated conventions don't. I mean, if you really want to just kind of be very honest, Most music educator conventions don't have minority focused sessions. And I said this on Luke's Band Report, and I'm going to say it right here. And again, Crystal talked about it on her show. All Title I's, urban situations, so on and so forth, are not created equal. So with that being said, I can teach in the Title I school, and I can be going through, I'm going to say this T word, this is the hot button topic, but I can be going through the trenches. But somebody else could be teaching at a Title I school and not have it nearly as bad as me. But guess what? When they go to convention and they want to give a session on teaching at a Title I school, guess what they're capable of doing? Talking about teaching at a Title I school, because they teach at a Title I school. Everybody's situation is not the same. Now, with that being said, though, that does not mean that me, somebody who teaches or has taught in a Title I school that has been abysmal, relates to that person. If that be the case, if I don't relate to that person, then guess what? I just don't have to go to that particular session. That's just it is what it is. You know, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just being honest. We can't, again, we are not a monolith. So if that be the case, we can't expect for everybody's situation to be exactly the same. And just because we label it as something, or it's labeled as something, and that's only based on the number of people who have free or reduced lunch. And now we're talking about secondary schools, but still, just because that is the situation, that doesn't necessarily mean that all of us are equal in the way that, we deal, or our situations are. That's just the truth. I thought you wasn't coming in. Okay. What's going on, brother?
What's good, my family? What's good? I'm just popping in real quick. I'm listening to y'all as I drive. Uh,
Oh,
what's
I'm glad we can be in your ear, brother.
yeah? What's up? Talk that talk, family. I do want to say this real quick before I get out. I want everybody to know. First of all Title I schools are not created equal. That's number one. So we have to understand that. I don't know if you stated that already, brother, but
I did.
all Title I schools are not created equal. Did you?
Yeah, I did. I already
Okay.
said it.
So that's number one. Number two, what people fail to realize is, I agree with you, Luke, that two people could be at the same location but have two different experiences. And what people fail to realize is there's a particular school in the outskirts area of Houston. They're titled a Title I school, but they got 9 band directors and they have 12 private lesson teachers on staff. So understand that Title One is only an economic status according to people that's on free reduced lunch, and the mean or the median or average of the household income. So people need to start understanding that. So that's number one. But then number two, we have to start being honest with ourselves about like specific things. Because the truth is, the people that's really teaching in the trenches, they're really not out in the public like that. They're just doing the work. But that's all I gotta say. I'm gonna go back to listening, and they just doing their job what they're supposed to. Like people like Crystal, people like myself, and other band directors that's honestly just solely focusing on making their kids better. But uh, people also need to understand that when you're doing research like doctoral work, you're taking, unless you're creating a theory, you're taking information from another subject and then finding the gap. So everybody that's talking about this doctoral stuff that we was talking about earlier, like he's using information that was already been out there to perfect it to make it better. But shout out to everybody that's doing well. Have a blessed one.
He just came in to drop a mic and then tip out. That's basically what he did.
Yeah, basically, y'all have a good one.
All right, brother.
All right.
Yeah. So he just came and did a mic drop, and then he said, "I'm out." But no, he's not wrong in what he said. I typically don't always go to the comment section, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Brother Dotson, he said that they have an HBCU Teachers Music Conference this year. Ooh. So I'm gonna dive into that just a little bit. I'm gonna dive into that just a little bit, and the reason why is because I had a really interesting conversation with my wife. Me and my wife, I wouldn't say we had a heated discussion, but we had a really good, I guess you want to say argument, which is going to lead into the questions that I have here for today. And one of the part of the conversation was, well, first I'll go back. I'll say again, most of the sessions that are at music conventions are not black. It ain't for us. Most of them. So with that being said, as I was stating earlier, with the uproar of what has happened, the possibility of them, specifically Midwest, because this is a Midwest situation, even remotely considering them taking an HBCU proposal at this point is probably going to be slim to none because of the uproar that is caused. Don't think that just because it happened in our circle that it don't get out. I'm gonna be very honest. Don't think that it didn't, that what happened and we think is just in our circle, that it didn't get out. So I'm saying all that to say, and I'm gonna bring it all the way back around to the original thought in a second. But my first question was, are we quick to speak and slow to listen? Are we quick to speak and slow to listen? Because what I'm assuming, and trust me, I'm gonna say assume, is that so many people who specifically spoke on this topic didn't sit back and ask the questions that needed to be asked from the people, not a person, the people that was involved. So what's your thoughts, Portia? Are we quick to speak and slow to listen? And it don't necessarily have to come from us as music educators, band directors. I'm gonna just talk about just people, chocolate folk, brown folk. What you got? What you got?
Yeah. A lot of times, especially when it's personal, it's something that we feel like was ours and it didn't go right, or um they didn't pick me. So that had to be stolen. And I think that unless you know that, that's why I asked the questions that I asked. Was this this person has some insight or whatever? Because I use trenches. I mean, it's kind of a popular thing. Like, you know, during band season, I'm in those trenches. Like, that's not you came up with that. Like, and then to me, unless you know that they've had access to your information, know that you submitted that, you have direct knowledge, and that's anybody who's speaking on it, of what took place, then to speak in either direction is kind of irresponsible.
Nah, I can definitely agree. But see, you hit a nail on the head. When it becomes very personal for us when we put our time, our energy, our efforts into something. But I think that when we start talking about us as a people, us as a culture, our thing is we always want to try to band together to save the culture. But sometimes I think because of the fact that we want to try to just be so, I guess you want to say, militant for the culture, that we miss the mark on some things because we only hear it from one side. And let's not forget, there are three sides to every story. So I believe that sometimes we just got to sit back and not be so gung-ho to just say, all right, I'm Hotep right now, I need to fight for the culture, and say, all right, let me sit back for a second and really just see how this plays out. Is this correct? Is this right? And again, I'm not even just speaking for this particular situation. I think it applies to a lot of the situations that we tend to rally around sometimes. Sometimes we really get caught up in, and I don't want to say it this way, but I'm gonna say it this way, the blackety black thing that we do, that we sometimes don't know how to just sit and say, okay, let me really assess the situation.
Yeah,
And I think,
we pick sides.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
We pick sides. We weigh in on stuff that we don't have all the facts
Absolutely.
on. That's why I asked the questions that I asked. I mean, it's not a topic that, that nobody else could have come up with. So unless you know that there was some underhanded, backhanded slight way of passing this along for somebody else to do, or they were exposed to your submission and are aware of your denial. Now, I do have questions, and I mean, you're saying the subtopics was a little different. I do have questions about why it was approved one time and not the other. That's a little, but
That's fair.
but I don't know what the details were. Maybe those subtopics or the content, was different, which led to a different result. Like, I don't know that, but because I don't know that, I'm not. Oh, somebody said there's proof and it's gonna come out. Well,
Yeah, brother Kennedy, and that's my thing. I'm not saying one did happen and one didn't happen.
right.
What I'm saying is, there hasn't been a public statement from the direct sides, and so because of that, it's a lot of people have speculation, a lot of people are curious, a lot of people have questions, and because of that, I think that sometimes we jump on situations real quick without getting all of the details. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that one is right, one is wrong, blah blah blah. I'm saying, and this, not necessarily this particular instance, but a lot of instances, sometimes we just have to sit back and just kind of wait and to see it out and to hear it out and see what the data shows. And so again, but this is going to actually take me back to what Brother Dotson said in the conversation that me and my wife had in the kitchen. My wife got to a point and saying that why do we as a people feel like white is right? Why do we have to run to the white conventions, or why do we have to do the things or put ourselves in the spaces to say that we've made it once we've gone to or presented at or been a part of these spaces that just don't look like us? My argument would be that, and this is what I told her, I said, well, to be quite honest, all of these conventions were not started by us. Nothing that is happening specifically when it comes to music education, the foundation, blah 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 blah, was not us. And so here's a caveat to that. We do have something. We have the HBCU band director and orchestra or band and orchestra directors consortium that we don't go to, that we don't frequent. We will go to Midwest. We'll go to our respective state programs, but we don't go to that. But with that being said, though, I guess my next question would be, do we talk ourselves out of growth and advancement? And the reason why I'm asking that is because, again, we have something like HBCU Band Directors Consortium that we don't go to. Why don't we go to it? Why frequent that? And then all of a sudden, when somebody asks, we get to talking, and then all of a sudden, well, then everybody don't want to go. One person says, well, I don't like it over here. Well, this is for us. But then, well, one person says that somebody else jumps on it, and then boom, nobody's going. So do we talk ourselves out of growth and advancement? That wasn't
question
for
for me.
It's only me and you, girl.
Who is we? Like, is this speaking on why what was built for us is not flourishing?
See.
I think it's multifaceted. I think some of it is some people, not LaPortia, but some people seek that validation, want to bring our topics to the forefront in their arena. But on the flip side, they don't want it. So, there's that dynamic. And then I also think that we'll give other things more chances than we give our own stuff. Like the only thing I can equate it to is, your homeboy started a clothing line, or your friend has started this business. You ask them for a discount, but you will go to the mall and don't ask Macy's or any of those other stores for a discount. So they treat you bad at those stores, they get on your nerves, whatever the case may be, you still go back. But you have one or two bad experiences with us, instead of trying to figure out how to help, trying to figure out how to correct the things and be a helpmate in getting our stuff to where it needs to be, or whatever flaw, help address whatever flaw you saw with ours. You just say, I'm not going back. So why are we so quick to forgive and do whatever for mainstream stuff, but we're not willing to invest the same energy, effort, give as many chances, try to implement change in our own stuff?
That there is true. Because I can tell you right now, there are a lot of people who will go to $2 Tuesdays, and if they get some bad chicken, they'll still go back maybe a week or so later. I'm just saying,
Right.
They gonna get their chicken.
Right.
Let me please let me say this. I wasn't trying to say that us as black folks all we do is eat chicken, but I am
No.
using that as an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. Our stuff is not always together. But what are we doing to change that? What are we doing to help that? Especially if they're telling us we don't want what applies to you, and may not be across the board, but we don't want that here. Well, let's have that in our own space. And if there are deficits, there are things that can be done in our own space. Try to be that change.
And I think you're actually kind of hitting on something, because I think, why is it so difficult for us to take criticism from our own? Like, very similar, kind of around what you're saying. If I'm gonna go back to the chicken analogy, if I got a chicken shack and it's not hitting to where our people are excited about it, or they're not coming, we'll get into this mind. Well, I know what I'm doing. You can't tell me nothing. Da, 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 and
But that's evident in everything. Remember, I told you, and I've said this before, we can't even have conversation. I see other coaches out while we are at band events, they don't speak. We're not beefing at all. Hey, how you doing? And it's the same thing. We have that conversation about, why aren't we coming together collectively to tell these battle of the bands and different things what we will and won't take. That's because I can't worry about you. I'm gonna focus on me. And so you can't correct me because I don't feel like your product is that good. Well, how about we work together? Not judge each other, but just but people have to be receptive too. So it's something with us. We can take feedback from everybody else but us. It is imaginary competition because we're not competing. We're not competing. And so, Sean, that was my point. We give up on our stuff quick. Oh, they don't know how to treat you in that chicken spot. They don't know how to treat you in that black-owned store, but you keep going back to Macy's and they ignore you. So you done went to 5 registers before you pay for whatever you not getting a discount on. So it's something about us. Our patience is limited when it comes to us, but we'll take whatever from whoever else. And I just think that's a problem.
Here's another side that I just kind of thought about here, and correct, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong here.
Okay.
Do you think we also try to run game on each other?
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because I look at it from two sides. I look at it from a business owner, but then I look at it, I guess both sides of business owners. But what I'm saying is, so like, when I had my wing spot or whatever, I was doing about $1.50, $1.75 per wing, right? The average wing place, Wingstop, BW3s, Hooters, so on and so forth, does about that much. If one of us was to come in and be like, yo, how much is your wings? And I tell them how much a 6-piece is, they be like, bro, why you gotta be so high, bro? Why don't you come down on that price? But you'll go over to Wingstop and sorry, I ain't trying to, put them out there. Let me just say that. No publicity here. But you'll go over there and you'll pay for that chicken,
Yep.
but you won't
That's
do
what
it
I'm
for us.
saying. Like, we expect discounts, and it's almost like in our minds, we want better quality for less money from our people, but we'll take subpar from somebody else. That's what I'm saying. Like, and I get it. Sometimes dealing with us is difficult, but sometimes dealing with them is difficult, but you still do it. But
Put
you'll
up with
walk
it.
away from something that we built faster.
Let me go ahead and say this right now. I did open up the chat, so the link is pinned to the chat. So if you did want to come in, we got Will down here. I'm gonna go ahead and bring him in real quick. So if he's ready, I think he's ready. Let me see. I'll know if he unmutes his mic real quick. But while we're doing that, yeah, I don't disagree. So I guess we do talk ourselves out of growth and investment. I kind of hate it. I know that we can do better, and I can't wait until we get to the point of doing that. But again, I think I think somebody said it earlier, and I want to make sure I quote them correctly. Dang it, I missed it. It was something about emotional. Yeah, we are too emotionally charged. That's what the conversation was. But no, I get it. And but I also think that, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, I also think that and you kind of hit on it, because of the fact that we want to stand with the brother man, we supposed to be brothers, man. I need you to give me this hook. Like, no, this is a business just like everybody else.
Yeah,
This is what we're trying to do just
the
like everybody else.
cost of business for me, as being a small business, as being not, quote unquote, a mainstream company, is probably more overhead than those other businesses you're going to support, but you want a discount from me. What does that say about your thought process of the work, the money, the everything that our people are putting into whatever product they are offering? Now, I'm not saying we're always right, but I'm just saying you would never walk into Macy's, any of these other stores out here that are chains or whatever else, and ask those people for a discount. You might say, is there a coupon? But that coupon applies to everybody. You don't go in there and ask for something specific for yourself. But we do that to our own people. And to me, that means that you think that the work that our people are putting in for these businesses is diminished or something. Because why else would you be doing that?
Brother Outlaw says something very interesting. We all can eat at the table, but we fighting over the scraps.
Fighting over scraps.
So basically, what that means to me is we've got to start. If we want our own, support our own. That's what I'm gonna say. If we want our own, support our own, and don't talk ourselves out of it. Find a reason to support it. Don't just say, well, I ain't like this, I ain't like that. All right, cool. How about we all go en masse, and then we can all come to the table and then have the conversation about what we can do to make it better. How about that?
I will say, on the flip side, that when you set up a business or whatever else, outside perspectives can be beneficial.
Absolutely.
So having people give constructive feedback can be very beneficial to whatever business project, whatever you have. And I think sometimes we shut ourselves off from outside perspectives because we see it as a threat or a sign of disrespect when it really could be this is that person's area of expertise. There's something that they could be bringing to you that you may not have thought about that could vastly improve whatever it is that you're doing. So I will say that sometimes we do shoot ourselves in the foot, to speak specifically on the topic, and we could be using these things to improve, to grow, to get better. So I think that's an issue that we have as well.
Brother Moore, I'm so upset that you just brought that up, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why in a second. I have not done this in a while. Let me see if I still remember how to do this. Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. Go ahead and subscribe to the Passion Is Network and click that like button. Also, make sure. Oh no, dang! I forgot what I used to say. Dang it! It's been a while. It's been a while. Just hit the like button and subscribe and share this information out. There we go. Passion Is Network. Yeah. All right. But here's the reason why I said that I'm upset that you said that, because has the freedom of social media caused us to talk more and research less?
Yeah. Everybody has an audience. I'm going to make people listen to me. Instead of trying to figure out the best way to approach anything. I'm telling you right now, people put way too much on social media. I am not very active. I scroll and I look, but as far as what I put on social media, if I have an issue or concern with the business, I'm going to reach out to them. And that's just the type of person I am. And if I don't get a response or I don't care for the response, then I then decide whether or not it's worth me continuing to spend my hard-earned money at that establishment. But as far as that's exactly what it is, an emotional opinion lounge. Like people just rant and rave, and a lot of times have zero information, documentation, receipts, or anything to back it up. Everybody has given using social media to put way too much out there, and the amount of stuff that's out here without fact is just egregious at this point. Everybody just rants and raves. Everybody has a podcast. Everybody has something to say, but is it helpful? Is it beneficial? Is it factual? None of that is being considered anymore. And then you got people saying stuff like alternative facts. First of all, that's an oxymoron. That just, we just doomed. Because it's either a fact or it's not. There are no alternates to facts. That is just absolutely egregious. Yeah, they do want to check. And now that this stuff is monetized, they gonna say whatever. Okay. They gonna do whatever it's gonna get those clicks, get those likes, and it could have no
YouTube.
basis in facts.
We on YouTube, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I mean, we are not out here spewing stuff that we pulled out of the sky either.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my thing. Like, where are you getting this from? You making up stuff or having one experience with something and completely bashing it without any follow through, follow up, investigation, research. It's just crazy, but that's the world we live in. Yeah, everybody's a reporter.
Yeah, and that kind of goes way back to what I was talking about in the beginning about our, I gotta stand behind the calls without research, right? Like the beginning of this conversation reminded me of the whole Ime Udoka situation, right? Like originally when that situation about Ime Udoka came up, and when he was with the Celtics or whatever, they had pinned a completely different woman on as the chick that he was messing with that wasn't even him. That wasn't even her. And they were like going at this woman, like just,
Harassing her, all of this stuff. Not even her.
and so
But that's
again,
how stuff takes off.
I mean, and it's crazy between, and we see it so much. Like everybody got a story time. Everybody has this, wants to jump on this thing that they saw in the news somewhere. And again, people think that research is going to listen to someone else on social media talk about the thing in which they are interested in. That ain't research. That's not research. It just isn't. If especially if I'm operating inside of a vacuum. If I have an issue or I take an issue with something and I go YouTube it, I'm going to find the thing with people that I agree with anyway. So that's not, that to me, that's not research. And one of the things that I would love for people to do, and this kind of goes back to, you know, being slow to speak, but also have a mind of your own.
We're a crowd mentality now. We're gonna go with the flow.
Yeah.
With the masses.
And that to me is just, I don't know, it's different for me. And I guess it's different for me because of the fact that I've never, at least from what I can remember, I haven't been that person who kind of goes with the crowd. I haven't. And so, like, kind of even with this particular situation that came up, I didn't want to jump in and say this is what happened or this is what didn't happen. Even right now, I'm not even saying that. You know, I'm still in the all right, let me sit back and just kind of watch, see how this unfolds, see what information comes out, so on and so forth. Because I guess I don't want to, I'm gonna say it this way, but I don't feel like I'm that emotionally triggered like that to be able to make a rash decision out of nowhere just because the masses feels this particular way. But I think, unfortunately, social media has put us in a position to where you gotta go with the rest of the group without having a mind of your own. It's just like we're all in this group think. And there's this picture going around right now on Facebook. I reposted it. I think I posted it on Instagram or Facebook. Where there's, and I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it's a person in the pool, and they're all, it's like a bunch of people in the pool. There's one person in the middle, and everybody's pointing at that person while everybody got pee around them. And the reality is that right now we're operating in a group think where if you have a mind of your own or you're doing something different, you're the one that's out. And so this idea and this freedom that we have on social media has also put us in a place where we shoot ourselves in the foot still. So I don't know, how do we solve that? How do we get out of that group think mentality? Hey, what's going on, brother Rodriguez? Man, I ain't seen you. Eric, man, congratulate. Man, I'm sorry, I haven't seen Eric. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, man. So yeah, how do we get out of that? How do we solve that problem? Yes, I'm talking to you.
Solve what?
Get out of start to divert our thinking out of the group think and move to a different thought process.
Is social media going away?
I mean, the answer to that is no.
Right. So I don't know how we get away from this, because some people look at social media as the end all be all. And some people are going to use this as a guide for their lives. And so I don't know that we get out of this. I don't see a way of us getting out of it, because this is life now. It's a sad reality, but this is life. Some people are going to go with the flow, and whichever way that runs, they're going to go with it. And the sad part is they don't even analyze whether I feel like this is right or wrong. The masses think this, so that's what I'm going to go with. Because I don't want anybody to question why I'm going against the grain and why I don't agree.
So I'm gonna be that guy. So are we in that moment right now in the HBCU band world?
Yeah.
Mm. And for those of you guys who don't understand what I mean by that question, the masses right now is all about the crank up.
Yep. And if you do something different, the comments on Beyonce's internet are crazy. They are crazy. They're not that good because they're not doing this. That was okay, but they're not doing that. I don't like it because it doesn't sound like such and such. Nobody else is good because they don't do such and such. Yeah, we're one track minded for the most part.
That just really made me think about that. Because if we got on this show one day, or if I went on the band report and I said, you know what, your favorite band's favorite band was just out of tune. It just didn't sound good.
They are going to go bat crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. What are you basing that on? Oh, here's my favorite. You're a hater. That's because you're a hater. You don't like such and such program.
Ooh. Remember, I remember when the early days of this show. No, I remember.
It ain't been that long ago. That still happens.
It does. But I just remember when they were like, "Man, you just ain't for the culture." Really?
Because you expect excellence out of us. Do you see what I'm saying? We're going back to the standards for us. It get blurred based on whether I like it or not.
So basically, we're just unfortunately proving that we do operate in a group think.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
my
certain
gosh.
bands that we can't bring up without the comments going crazy.
Southern, Jackson. That's about it. Anybody else is kind of free game.
Yeah.
We can talk about Grambling. It ain't gonna bother nobody. We can talk about Fan. It ain't gonna bother. We can talk about Bethune. But you better not touch my Southern and my Grambling. Oh no! I mean, Southern and Jackson. Oh no! Yeah,
you a hater. There are no other bands in the world.
Yeah.
Child.
Yeah. Golly.
Group think.
People, we are not a monolith. I have to say it again, and I guess I gotta say it again because I feel like we say it, but we don't really mean it. We really don't mean it. Oh my gosh. So on this same topic of social media here, and this one really has been bothering me for a long time, and I think we did an episode that kind of tackled it a little bit, but is keep I'm gonna talk about it whenever I need to, Brother Morris. I'm just gonna be honest. Here we go. Is ruining lives a number one goal for social media warriors?
That cancel culture is real now, and they canceling people without real facts. They will see it and run with it, and I mean, by the time that train stops running and it's corrected, the amount of emotional damage, who knows, physical harm that may have come to somebody is crazy. Like that example you gave, when it first broke that he cheated and that whole thing happened, it was the complete wrong lady. And people were threatening her, harassing her, like they was friends with these people. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it wasn't even right. So somebody didn't do their research, somebody did not do their due diligence, but it still does not negate what she had already gone through, what had already happened, the threats that had already happened. Like, what if somebody had done something to her and it was the whole wrong person? Yeah, yeah, and don't y'all done brought up that don't bring that up here. That gets me upset every single time because that's our fault too.
Why? And well, I'm not gonna say why. I'm gonna say we let everybody in.
People do what we allow.
Facts. But
You
we
wouldn't
also
allow a doctor to operate on you that ain't never participated in clinicals, medical school, or nothing else. But we letting somebody run a part of our culture that ain't never stepped off, marched nowhere.
I mean, but we again, we let everybody in. And I'm not just talking about the band word. I'm just talking about us as a people. I mean, because let's be real, there are some people who we be like, they invited to the cookout that don't need to be at the cookout.
And
If
we do
we,
that, but they don't be inviting us to their stuff. That's
oh no, not at
interesting to
all.
me.
We don't get to go to the. Well, I don't know. They don't have. Do they have cookouts?
No, the
Picnic.
picnic.
Picnic. Yeah, we don't go to. We don't get invited to the picnic.
Mm-mm.
But they get. Anybody can get in the cookout.
They do
If,
one thing that we feel like is cool, and they in.
Shuck and jive. If they put hot sauce in their bag, whatever. If they stop by and stop by a KFC one day, play a saxophone, I can. The list can go on and on.
Join a D9 or
Yeah. Well. Yeah. But that's a whole. That's not. It's the same conversation. So yeah. So getting back to the topic, because then now we getting off. But the number of death threats, the "I'm gonna get you fired," I think that to me is the craziest thing that I think that we can ever do as a people. And I'm just talking about people in general. It's one thing. Here's my thing. If you disagree with anyone, if you have a common disagreement with somebody, if you just don't like that person or what they said or whatever, why do you feel the need to stop someone from having a life? Like stopping someone's check?
you want to know why? Because social media has severed connections. These people can do these things without ever being inconvenienced, even picking up a telephone. Like, I'm literally doing this, posting something, sharing something, and I have zero connection to you. I have never seen anything like this in my life. They literally, without hesitation, and I think social media has made people, I don't want to know, I can't say less emotional because these people are very, very emotional. I think less considerate of how these things impact other people, because the flip side of that is people are more, as we spoke about before, quick to react. So we're still emotional people, but as far as considering how things impact other people, you can't do nothing to me because I'm gonna flip out. But I don't care nothing about you. We've become, that's the word I'm looking for, more self-centered. We that sense of community, that sense of caring about the person next to you, down the street from you, in the same circle as you, We don't care about that anymore. We're going to do whatever we feel. We go straight to extremes now. Oh, I don't like something you did. You should get fired. I don't like the way you talk to me. You should get fired. Oh, I'm going to cancel you. I don't care how you're going to eat after that. I don't care if you're going to be homeless after that. I didn't like what you did, but that's part of that being emotional. Very emotional, but less considerate. That's my perspective on this.
That to me, just the fact, like, again, the fact that you will ruin somebody's livelihood is just taking money out of somebody's pocket. To me, is just
I'm not trying to be funny. Look at how many things have been posted to social media just in the last year. How many shows have we done about people taking band room moments and using them to try to ruin somebody's life, potentially get them fired? And more often than not, it's skewed to meet your needs. And it's not normally the whole video, the whole story, the whole anything. It's the part or piece that I feel like is going to be the most detrimental to the person that I'm targeting.
And then outside of the financial piece of it, we are in a culture right now where mental health is like, so you mean to tell me if you don't like what I said, if you don't, especially if whatever I did or said, and again, we still in the same realm of what we were talking about from the beginning, but especially if what I did was said was not even fact check research, and you just coming at me just off of what you heard, that may not even be true. So now I'm getting all these emails, all these DMs, all these things, and now I got to deal with this mentally.
But I don't care about that, because this doesn't affect me.
It's crazy. You know, I
But if it was flipped, how could you do that to me?
My brain just kind of went out because I just heard a sound in my house and I was not even expecting it. It just came out of nowhere. Dang it. I don't even remember what I was gonna say. God darn it. And it was something good. It was something about me and being a teacher and my students and me remembering something about them. But I don't remember what it was. Golly, it's your fault, Portia. It's your fault. Oh yeah, now I remember back when I ain't gonna say first started teaching, but in the middle years of when I was teaching, I couldn't understand this whole like social media bullying thing. So like every year we had to take these modules, and one of the modules was bullying, and a lot of the stuff that they talk about as far as bullying ends up being about social media bullying, cyber bullying, more or less. I couldn't wrap my head around it at the time because I was still caught up in my old school mentality of bullying only happened if I just went to school, and you either gonna fight about it or you not. And as soon as once the scrap is over, everybody's good, you done. It took for me to watch, I can't remember what it was, but it took for me to watch something to realize when you're being chastised in social media. I hope you won.
Yeah, that's it, and that's all.
Yeah. When you're being chastised in social media, that's not just the people in your school.
No, it's not. And I'm glad I went to school when I did, because if you had a problem, you had to say that to me. Like, I could not imagine. Like, I don't know. And then people just don't have the same connections, like I said. So they say and do whatever. Like, and the consequences are crazy. I don't know. I don't know. And then we've seen it go. I mean, so many, I watch so many documentaries. That's like my thing. Or like true life incident shows. And there have been so many students, I mean, adults even, who have experienced social media bullying, being exposed on social media, intimate pictures being put out there because they were hacked or whatever else. And those people, I could not even imagine, because it's out there to the world, and anything that is online forever, period. I mean then you loop in there the screenshot, the recording features. Like, nothing ever goes away. People think when they put stuff up and take it down. I'm telling you right now, the majority of the things in my phone are screenshots. I'm a screenshot queen. I'm gonna keep it. So I mean, I don't it is bad out here, and I'm just glad I went to school. I had a Nokia with a green screen, okay? The phones were not fancy at all when I was in high school,
The
okay?
best game you had on your phone was Snake.
Little snake thing, okay? That's
That's
it,
it.
and that's all. We ain't had no social media. I think Facebook came out while I was at Norfolk State. Like, I just could not imagine having to deal with all of that, and the potential and how far reaching and things. Like, most of that stuff, it goes, they try to switch schools because something went wrong at their school. They get to the new school and they like, you're such and such, and you you know you were part of this and you left there because of that, because it's everywhere. I can't. I That's why me and Stephen were talking the other day, and I told him I couldn't be famous. I'm just a private person. I do not. That's why I'm not putting everything on social media. I'm just not that way. Um, I couldn't be famous. You can't pop up and be in my face with a camera. Mm-mm.
I mean, you can be private famous. There's some famous people out there who live their life extremely private.
I had a beeper too. I
I
was
had a
young,
beeper
but I
too.
had a beeper. It was blue. It was clear.
I had a beeper too. Mine was black.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say this real quick. I pinned the link to the chat. So if you want to come in and get in a conversation with us, you are more than welcome to do so. Just make sure that the microphone is on and the camera is on too. My biggest thing is, as long as you appropriately are dressed. I don't need to see you with your chesticles out. No, we don't need to see that. But I was looking at this from Mr. Outlaw. Whatever happened to the conflict mediators? We used to have them all the way back in elementary. Yeah, those days are over. Most of the reason why, and I'm not saying they don't exist, but I don't think that they are as effective when we're talking about social media bullying. Because kind of along the lines of what Portia said, back in the day, you could just transfer schools and it'd be over. Ain't no transfer. If somebody didn't put your pictures up and so on and so forth, and then all of a sudden, it didn't hit 1 million people, by the time you get to the new school, and you got to remember, trends are real. First of all, I'm not one of these trends people. I can't stand a new dance, I'm so sick of all these TikTok songs. I can't stand them. I can't stand the TikTok dances. I can't stand none of it because they are trends, and for some reason they catch on like wildfire. So if you
It's
if
that
you
group
out there,
think. It's that group
yeah.
think.
Yeah, if you out there and you got a picture sent somewhere, or that you did something and it's been recorded, trust me, by the time you switch to that new school,
They
they gonna know
already
about
know.
it. They gonna know about it. So, we got a sister down here. Let's bring in Crystal. And I know she got a whole bunch to say. So, what?
No, I ain't gonna be long because I gotta get my son some Skittles. It's crazy how all of this stuff is connected. Just listening to y'all. We don't we don't fact check because we don't know how to properly cite sources. We don't cite sources. We cite feelings.
Mm.
How did what somebody said makes me feel? I don't check whether or not what they said is true because that requires work. See, my feelings don't require work. That's an automatic. And so the problem is because we don't cite sources, we don't fact check when some of this, like y'all were talking about cyberbullying happen, if it brings an emotion and the emotion might be, it might be funny. There's no reason to check it because I thought it was funny because it was shady and it was nasty. And it tapped into my lack of integrity as a person to actually try to check to see if what I'm laughing about is actually valid. So because we don't research anything, researching ain't cool. It don't make us feel good. It requires work. And it requires you to be transparent. So if you find something that is counter to what you believe, it now holds you responsible to actually listen to what you have actually researched. People don't want to research because they actually like the idea of their emotions running everything they do. We don't check our kids. We don't want nobody to check our kids. And the kids, the inmates are running the asylum at the school. You want to tell Johnny? Johnny can't read, yo. How dare you say Johnny can't read? That teacher went off about shapes and numbers, and everybody was mad that he told it. But see, when you don't have to pay attention to actual facts in front of you, then you can rely and live your world from an emotional state. We we respond to our emotions, and then sometimes we think later. We used to. You know how teachers used to say, now I want you to think about what you did. Parents don't want kids to think about it. As soon as you say that to a parent nowadays, well what did so and so do? We're not talking about so and so.
You talking about your child? Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the accountability of the human being that's in this room. But if that's what we've been raising for about, let's just say 20 years, 20 years, and unfortunately, the real truth is it's our peers. We're teaching our peers children. These the folks that were in band that didn't come on time and get mad when the scholarship money short. We're teaching kids who are raised by that person. We're on social media with people who didn't have accountability. The ones like, I don't understand why. Because in order to actually be accountable, you have to be reflective. And nobody is reflective anymore.
Nope.
No one is reflective anymore. Nobody. The hardest thing I ever had to deal with in therapy was when they asked you that question. So, what are you going to do different? Ooh, what? You mean I got to choose a better mate? I got to date better people? Ooh, that mean I got to get up on time so my boss not mad at me? I got to do something? No, man. That's not how the world works. But here
Mm-mm.
we are. That's all I
Everything
got.
everybody else fault. Everything is somebody else's fault. There is no I could have done this better anymore. And to me, I don't even know where we'll be in 20 more years because if everybody thinks they're right, we are doomed. I, and the parents don't want anything said to the child. Why would you say that? Because it's the truth.
Because it's the truth. Uncomfortable truths
Mm-hmm.
are still the noun. Truth. Uncomfortable. So here we are. Here we are. We go to school with the people, and now the people we're teaching the kids that went to the school, and that's the parent that want to fight everybody because Johnny can't read.
Right. And you need to be worried about the fact that Johnny can't read instead of trying to fight me.
You know why cranking up has become the top? And this is not, somebody ready to quote me. She don't like cranking up. No, I'm just gonna tell you why it's
She
become
don't like cranking
the
up.
top. Oh no, don't play with me now. Don't play with me. When I'm mad, something got to happen. But we don't reason why cranking up is valued more than someone actually teaching you how to do something that requires you to be really, really disciplined. We don't want to control our emotions. It's an emotional state that we honor the emotional state more than the discipline is going to have to take for us to actually pull back. Not it's like a kid who wants to eat more at the table. And the parents say, that's enough, right? Kid gets mad. Now we just get full off of anything. Too full off of everything. Too much of anything is bad. Too much of concert band is bad. You might not be a flexible musician. Too much of jazz might mean that you can't switch to a different style. Too much of anything could be bad. But we are all sitting at the table getting fat off of whatever brings the emotional state out. And then as soon as somebody said, that's enough. F them, where their grade 6 band at? Somebody alluded to that. And I always listen to people, and I was like, but didn't you just get 2s at assessments? And I got 1s. Why you? I didn't have a comparison statement until you made one. But we don't want to hear that either. We don't want to hear that. And that's not saying I think I got it all together. We just not reflective. Being reflective is when you sit at the table, you're like, you know what? That's why I can't buckle my pants. Don't laugh at that, Julian. That's why I can't. That's why I'm huffing and puffing up and down the steps. I can't. Dag, I done had too many chicken box. I done been to the carryout too many times. Now I know people that their metabolisms are different. We can't even accept that people have differences, and that's probably why they can do it and you can't. That's all I got. I'm done. I gotta get my son Skittles because he had a little scuffle today because somebody effed around and found out.
Did he win?
That's what I was trying to figure out. Is he getting the Skittles because he won, right?
Nah, he got science fair project, but he walking around. He's still silent mad. So I know that ain't good. And he didn't get suspended, so they already tell you what happened.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he ain't get suspended.
All right,
Someone effed around, found out.
There you go. Well, go ahead and get him them Skittles.
I'm gonna get that boy to some Skittles.
All right.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
You too. I will tell you, Crystal will always have a word for you, and it's always going to be, based in truth. And I like what I think it was Brother Moore said it, and when we had Deontay on the show, that time, a licensed therapist, by the way, he said it best. He says there's no such thing as my truth or your truth. There's only the truth. And I absolutely agree with him. I don't believe in all that my truth, your truth. I don't really subscribe to that. I really don't. So yeah. All right, we got 32K Will. He finally good. I was trying to get him on earlier. But something happened to I hit it to try to turn his mic on and it got rejected. But what's going on, brother? Smiths. Mic still off. Unmute. Smiths. No mic. Nah. I would say go out and come back in. I don't know what you're saying. I can't hear you. While he's getting straight, I saw a couple of questions in here. I looked at them. I wanted to get to them. I put it in the chat, but Brother Dawson was asking, do they have classes in school to teach kids how to deal with social media? And my response to him is, no, they don't. And most of the teachers don't know how to deal with social media either. So how can the teacher teach the kid how to deal with social media? Most of them are going on there making TikTok dances. And then he followed it. What do I think about these teachers that have social media influencers? I'm gonna be honest. This is my personal opinion on it. My personal opinion on it is as long as it's credible. I have a problem if there are teachers on the internet doing the ceiling challenge. I think that I don't want to see that. I don't think that that's something that as an educator you want to be involved in. I think I just saw somewhere, I can't remember, it was somewhere down south, I think, or probably in New York, where a teacher got fired because she was a rapper. And to be very honest, when they showed the videos of the teacher, I would have fired her too, because in her videos she had her butt cheeks out and everything. So you mean to tell me you comfortable with your students checking out your video, and then, excuse me, and then when she got fired, she put her students in one of her videos. I was like, oh my gosh, what parents are allowing this? Have you seen this woman's videos? Her butt cheeks was out. Like, she was literally twerking.
But they not parenting no more. They friends. That's my
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah, completely different world. All right, let's see if 32K Will's good. What we got, brother?
One more again, Doug. Can you hear me?
We got you. We got you
All
this
right.
time.
You first. I heard you say you heard some noise outside your house. Are you in the trenches? You,
No, I'm
yeah, I
not.
mean, if you are, it's okay. You know,
I'm
we
not in
all.
the
It
trenches.
is what it is. I'm up in the Northeast, so you know it is. I hear it all. You know, who knows what's going to happen today?
Good one.
Um,
Very good.
no, you guys touched on a couple of things. Um, I've been hearing it on your space because I speak to you a lot. I hear from you a lot, and then I hear from the other spaces for HBCUs on the sports side. And what it sounds like, especially in this day and time, is that I keep hearing that people are saying everybody else sees the value in the HBCU world besides us as Black people and people of the HBCU world. Um, it's hard to hear that. I really don't like hearing that. That's the last thing I want to see is Black people in America lose something else that I feel is ours. We've lost. I mean, we can go down a list of things that we've had that we have either lost or given up because we thought someone else's was better, just to find out it's really not. But when it comes down to again everything HBCU, I feel like it's naturally ours, and I just don't want to see us as a people lose the rights to that, uh, to gain what we can out of it first. The last thing I want to hear is that some guy from I'll just say Egypt opens a big warehouse and he's just producing so much HBCU paraphernalia, for example. When we could be the ones doing that. But as I've heard her say, we'll go to one store and want a discount, but we don't do that to Gucci. So it's just like I just don't want it to be one of those things where there's another group of people plotting and say, hey man, it's something going on over there. Why, maybe we should tap into it because that would be hurtful. And if anybody doesn't think that would be hurtful, it's not until, like I said in the comments, we don't appreciate it until it's gone, and then another establishment is disrespecting us for something that should be ours. Like you said, why aren't we going to the HBCU, directors reunion or whatever you said, whatever it's called.
The
I know I
conciliation.
saw Smash say, sometimes it's not the best put together or it's not done professionally, but I mean, I don't want to say is there anything that's not done professionally, but um, it's ours. That's like the main thing with me is that it's still our convention, and I don't think we should have to go somewhere else to get their approval that we're talented or we're doing something right when we've already got doctors. We got people who are doctors in music. Why do we got to go to some other group of people to tell us, "Oh, you're doing it correctly"? I don't get that part. Me personally.
Was that the period? I'm not trying to be funny. I just wanted to
Yeah,
make
no,
sure
that's
before I
that,
started.
that that's the
Okay.
period. I mean, I heard you hit on a couple other things. You were talking about, the social media world and people with bands. Me personally, I do photography and I've mainly done news photography and hip hop photography for concerts and festivals of that nature. And I've kind of, took a little exit towards covering some HBCU content more or events more. And I'm just at this point, it's one of those things where, like you said, you can only say certain things about certain groups. So I've kind of, dedicated some of my time during the football season to actually go and hear some of these groups for myself because I'm not trying to go based off of social media. I'm one of those type of people where if you say you got the best something, well, I'm going to come and see if it really is that. And tell people the truth or whether or not it's truly that or not. And like she said, people get mad, scream and holler, what are you basing this off of? But For me, I've always been one of those type of people, and my mom doesn't understand it. She's like, you always got to see stuff for yourself. But that's just how I am. I really want to see if you say you got the best this, or if you say this group is really that bad. I really want to go see it. I really want to go see it for myself. Because again, I'm not one of those type of people where I'm going off of just what social media says. And to me, if you're really that good, why would I not want to come see that? That's my period.
Well, thank you
I
for
think
letting us know. Let me go, and then I got you, Portia, because it was something that I wanted to hit on real quick. When you, I'm gonna say this honestly, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We let everybody in, so I know that you're saying you don't want to see that to be something that another thing that we just kind of, but I mean,
it already happened.
it's
That's what I was
already.
gonna say.
Yeah, so we was on the same mindset. So yeah, go ahead, Portia. You got it then.
It already happened. I mean, I can just give one example. The number of not us hosting, throwing, even adjudicating HBCUs now is crazy because they figured out there's money in it. So there are so many Battle of the Bands and all these different things that are not hosted by us, that we're not gaining any funds off of, or if we are, it's the smallest portion um of their proceeds. They're giving us peanuts and they're clearing hundreds of thousands of dollars and giving each band 10 grand, 20 grand. Or when you get there, the conditions of subpar. Why? Because we're not the ones hosting this stuff. And if we are hosting it, we've sold our allegiance and loyalty to that side and not to these band programs and not to these HBCUs. It's already happening. As somebody who coaches, it happens to us at least once a year. It's some shenanigans. So it's already happened. We let other people monopolize off of our bands, our schools, and we're getting little to nothing for it.
And to be very honest, and just to kind of piggyback off of that, I mean, honestly, one of the things that I'm seeing right now that's really frustrating me is the fact that HBCUs right now are kind of the hot topic. It's the it thing, right? My problem with that is it's the it thing, but you ain't giving nothing to those HBCUs, not a thing. You put them on TV, or you say we're doing a HBCU blah 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 this week. Come and represent your HBCU blah blah blah, or just all of these different things. But then you're not giving anything to the universities, and you're gonna. And one of the problems, and it kind of goes back to what we've said. It kind of goes to what Portia said before. We're going and we're doing these things and we're participating in these things to say that we're just getting the clout for it, but then they're like, all right, thank you, bye, appreciate your service, after you've collected a heck of a hefty check. I did a band report on the supposed California thing, and this is what I say. I'm not a person who's just gonna go with the group thing, because while other people were talking about Honda is going to California, I ain't seen nothing from Honda. So allegedly California, but even if that were to be true, my biggest thing for that is y'all was already giving the bands pennies anyway,
And having to
so
fly all of them, because that would be the case.
if it's a flight,
Baby, hit. Ooh, what?
and if it ain't no flight, then it's tight. And
No, sir. No,
like I
sir.
said before, in order for you to even hold something like that in that particular space, in that area, you would have to have the top groups there. There's no way that
Even if you have the top groups,
but what I'm saying is
Cali
that's going to
is
be more
far.
money. Right, that's more money that they're going to have to shell out that they're not going to give back.
So why don't we throw our own? Why don't we find the biggest HBCU stadium and take the door, bro?
So here's my problem with that.
Hmm.
Now,
I don't think that there's any problem with us starting our own. I also don't believe, or I also know that there are our own people who are doing Battle of the Bands and so on and so forth. My problem with that is I still don't think they do bands right.
nope,
Think about it. You
nope.
know, you have these couple of Battle of the Bands that are given, and you invite these bands out. The band is the bread and butter of what you're doing. It's called the whatever Battle of the Bands, which technically isn't a battle; it's a showcase. But I digress. But it's called this Battle of the Bands, and you give the bands nothing for real. If you're not giving these bands a minimum of 200,000, it's tight. I'm sorry, it's tight
Mm-mm.
because
Cold chicken, no drinks.
that's not gonna fly. But then you want to say, well, we're doing it for the bands or we're doing it for HBCUs. Okay, fine. You'll have a recruitment fair the night before. Yay. Or you'll give out one scholarship. You got 10 bands there, but you'll give out one scholarship to a kid in one of the bands. What is that doing? So honestly, I think it's two sides to that coin. I think that as bands, they are promoting those people who are throwing these events, but I think that on the back end of that, they just selling out HBCUs just the way that the other groups are. So yeah, there it is. I hope
Brother
that helps.
Dodson, the only way that I'm agreeing to that is if it's not in February, baby. No, no. It's cold in February.
I see NIL for band members and sponsors for bands. I think that's great.
Yeah, I
I
was thinking
think
about that
I think
NIL
that's
for
a
band
great
people.
idea.
Yeah.
But the people will have to start looking at it as a sport.
Correct, and that ain't gonna happen.
And they
Well,
don't.
I think that's kind of cool. I mean, if I have a business and I see, I mean, maybe I can't put my logo on every single uniform, but just the drum line alone, and I give them a check. I mean, that's pretty good, right? Because I see band as a sport. I think I don't know how a lot of people don't, but I do
They
see it as a
don't.
sport.
They don't.
Yeah,
And I
I see it as
mean,
if I have a beverage company, why don't I put my logo on the whole band and give them a check for what they just did for me?
Because to outfit a band costs more than to outfit a football team. If I
Right,
have
but I think but
280 members
uh
in my band, then that means you got to cover that cost. And now you doing that, on a yearly basis, or for them it'd be a write off, but still,
mm,
it's still a lot more money to be able to out. If a football team gets new uniforms every year, that's a drop in the bucket when you talking about a band. You talking about band uniforms, a drum major uniform, auxiliary uniform, especially if you got dancers and flags. That's a lot.
so we just like just keep skipping the band and like just let it
I
keep
don't agree.
I think you would have to
falling
do it
by
a
the
different way. I
wayside.
think you would have to do it a different way. Like
Correct.
you probably couldn't outfit the whole band with logo uniforms, but maybe
Mm,
the hats have the logo on it, or maybe
right.
have a new banner every year that has the sponsors on it or something. I don't know. We could get creative,
I agree with right. I agree.
but yeah, I don't know. I just think that the biggest issue that I see is that in order to change these things, we will have to operate as a collective. And we're not going to do that. We just can't seem to respect one another enough or value one another enough to see that we do share a lot of the same battles, that we are experiencing a lot of the same things, and we would be much more effective together. But we can't put those things at the forefront. We can't put those things to this, in place because we don't respect that program and we don't think that's a legitimate band program. And we eating good over here. I don't have all of those problems, so I'm not going to worry about it.
I agree.
I just had to hear Maya say that because you was right, Portia. But yeah, man. Will, you got anything else before I let you go, brother?
No, no, it was just those couple of things that you guys touched on. I know you guys, do your 1 week on, 1 week off, so it's good to see y'all again.
Yeah. I know you're trying to get it all out. You had 2 weeks of built up
Yeah, yo,
built up
1 week
energy
on,
here
one
to
week
get out.
off, so you know what I mean. But it's all good. You guys, I love coming on here. I love talking to y'all. So, but thank you.
Man, appreciate it. No problem, brother. Man, I ain't seen this dude. He doing everything right now, man. Consortium and outside playing basketball with everybody. Before we get him here, brother Moore, no. I believe there will be a huge turnout in Cali or Vegas, but the cost to host it goes up significantly. I'm gonna tell you why there would not. I did this the other day. Not the other day, last week on Luke's Band Report. The reason why I disagree with this is because the median gas in Cali is $5.64. My gas up the street is $3.19, brother, and that's high for me. Cause usually it's like $2.99, $2.89. It be hovering and they go up and down. No, because I am not gonna get out to Cali and be talking about I'm gonna rent a car first of all, and then have to pay for that gas out there. Oh no. So you mean to tell me all these people from the South is gonna be like, let's go down there and pay for this high gas? Nah, brother.
That and everything is more expensive.
Yep. Everything is more expensive. Nope. Absolutely not. Anyway, let me bring Chuck in here, man. College band director extraordinaire, Alabama A&M University. I got to give him the big name. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Y'all doing all right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's been a lot to unpack.
Yeah. This has been a crazy couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been a lot. Before I get into that, I'll say this. I teaching in Vegas and teaching on the West Coast. Um, and again, this is just what my experience was when I moved out there. I told folks that the last time I was out in Vegas was when A&T went in 2003 versus Southern, and a lot of the parents and adults were like, "I remember that. We went to that, and we had a great time, and we enjoyed the bands." There was a school down the street for where I taught to that the principal was a Howard alum, and they paid for Howard to come all the way out to Vegas one year. And I think they were doing the Las Vegas Classic as well too, and they brought him to the high school. So I'll say this: that if Honda is in Cali, um, it will be very well attended, but very well attended from that side of the country.
Yeah.
And of course, Honda, like that's us. That's our thing. You know what I'm saying? Especially those of us that remember the Honda where the Bears were playing in the hallway. You know what I'm saying? Leading up, like, you know what I'm saying? Like we definitely OGs of the Ice Storm Honda. That it took me 10 hours to get back from Atlanta to North Carolina. And so
Quick plug for KK Side when we shut down the street.
Oh my, bro! I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. One year they had Honda and the Omegas had their conclave in Atlanta, and that was the last year that they had all the bands staying at the same.
I remember that in that same hotel. That was the year. That was the reason why we didn't stay at the same hotel the next year, because it was nuts. That I remember that.
It was so many people in one area. The hotel management was telling. I mean, it was just. It was like SED convention times 10. It was insane. And so, again, Honda's us. I don't feel that enough of us will make, because, like you said, things are really expensive out there, and it's a very long flight and travel. I mean, if you try to do Spirit, or now they got Breeze, you can get your little, little flight. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't nobody flying Spirit. I don't want to be
I
in
flew
Spirit.
from Atlanta to LAX in Spirit.
Portia is bougie.
Great.
She don't find nothing but that Delta.
I had a
She
great
she be
experience.
flying.
Southwest is a close second, but otherwise, do not. I ain't coming.
Hey, when I
She may be a Zeta, but she is gonna fly that if she need to.
Okay, every time, frequent flyer.
Look, when I moved from Cali, I mean, when I moved from Vegas to Georgia, I had to make that last trip back to get everything, and I had to take a Spirit to LAX from Georgia, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I just, you know, what I'm saying, just got on the plane and we were there. But I will say this: that again, I don't think enough of us like HBCU supporters, will be out there like when we have it on the East Coast. I do like the idea that was mentioned. Like I remember Alabama State had it, there. Now I didn't like the timing when they had it, but I'd like to see it rotate, to schools that could host it. Like for an example, what is it? Is it Dick Price Stadium at Norfolk?
Not
That's a
in
huge stadium.
February. Not in February.
No, not in
No,
February. That's the thing.
no.
Timing. The timing of this has always been bad, especially if you've been a participant and you are doing 8 to 5 in January and it's freezing outside. When I taught in Chicago, we stopped marching band in October or late September because it made no sense. It's freezing outside and you couldn't get anything done. And so the timing of it is bad. I've heard the proposed date, and yeah, that's gonna get into what collegiate bands got going on in the spring and other things as well too, and it's gonna put a monkey wrench in it. But um, I do know that for that side of the country, um, they'll come out. They'll come out and see something different than what they've used to see. And
I'm
so,
gonna tell you right now, they better not be putting nobody on a bus.
I don't know. Well, I can't confirm or deny, but I don't think it's going to be buses. I don't think it's going to be buses.
Ain't no
That's
way.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That makes no sense.
Ain't no
The
way.
Macy's, that was like the longest that I wanted to stay on a charter bus. That was just at the edge, about 16 plus hours. Yeah. So, um, but yeah, did y'all see? I gotta ask. I don't know if you guys talked about it. I was trying to, you know, fix something in the house, but I was listening to you guys. Did you guys see the teacher? That video of that teacher getting smacked?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh,
Popped in the face twice.
yeah,
By a
Yeah,
student.
by a student.
yeah, by a student.
Right, right.
I'll send it to you. Hold on. Go ahead,
Oh,
Chuck. What you got?
it's a mess. No, I was just, I was wondering if you guys saw that, but I will say this. Last thing I'll say is, we have got to do better. Like when we do have events. Like I remember the first, like Queen City. Or defeat the beat, right? The first one was in 2003, and it was in a stadium in Charlotte that a lot of bands traveled to. I think Southern was there one year. FAMU came. A lot of bands, what I'm saying. So it could host, and then Charlotte, we know with the CIAA, it can host that type of event, and people are going to want to go to not only that, but of course the surrounding things, right? And so those events were well attended, but of course with these events, and I'll be honest, our HBCUs, we have to do better in terms of the business when it comes to that. Because, like Portia says, you do all this work to perform in the name of recruitment and all this stuff, and you're getting a cold slice of pizza, maybe one scholarship for somebody, and it's not worth it, and I said this early in the show, and there was some, not a healthy debate in the comments about it. That not all gigs are good gigs.
Nope.
I was told that a very long time ago, and I learned as an early band director that I was trying to go to every bout of bands, have my band play at the opening at every fast food restaurant in the area and stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, this ain't worth it. The amount of rehearsing and practice that we're doing, and so when it comes to our own events like the HBCU Consortium, like IMA, and when we do have there are individuals that are hosting events, we have to support better. And like Portia mentioned, and I see it and I agree that we don't do a good job of working together. because it's every weekend. There's something every weekend. And we literally have to like not ghost, but like, all right, I'll look at this later because it's too much. Especially, when you are an educator and you're trying to make sure your kids are like doing well in life as well as their major. It's so much, it's so much, and I really feel that when it comes to, like you were mentioning, Julian, earlier, like you always see this HBCU this, HBCU that. We are definitely trending on a whole nother, like it's so good as an alum to see that. But then it's like it reminds me when, and I promise I shut up after this. It reminds me after when I used to teach in Chicago on the South Side. There is a supermarket called Mariano's in Chicago. If you've never been there, it is a whole experience. Meaning that when you go in the grocery store, there is a grand piano that plays by itself. They have happy hour on Fridays for adults to go in and have wine and stuff. If you go even further south, you cannot find that supermarket. You know what you see? McDonald's, Bojangles, corner store, liquor store, like all this stuff that is there, you know what I'm saying? And you can't it's just oversaturated with things that are not healthy for us, but it's there and it's convenient. And I think it's the same way when it comes to these Battle of the Bands events, that it's just there and it's like, are you really seeing these bands at their best? Even on the high school circuit, I used to make sure that it was every other week or every 2 weeks that we did a competition. Because are you really getting better from week to week? Are you really taking those comments and marinating them and getting better? No, I don't think so. So again, we have to do better of supporting our own. The HBCU consortium, being honest, I think it was in the best venue that it's been since I've been as a student. But unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of participation. There's some groups we never see participation. And let me give a shout out to Ms. Zachary. The auxiliary stuff was off the hook this year. It was great. I made sure that I ducked out of one of the performances to go over there to support our Dancing Divas and Fabulous Flags that was there. And I was amazing. It was amazing. It was great. It's so good to see the connections that are going on between auxiliary coordinators, because I know as band directors, it's hard for us to see each other. You know what I'm saying? And I know auxiliary, it's probably even harder. You know what I'm saying? You're always working, you're always in the zone. And so, we have to do better of supporting things that are already out there, to push the culture forward.
Were you about to say something, Portia?
I'm I just watched that
You
video.
got the video? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Um, no, I absolutely agree. Sean did her thing
Man,
with that.
amazing.
And honestly, she did her thing last year with it. I remember, and I was telling her, I just remember walking in the convention center. It's just girls all up and down the hallway. They did the rap snacks thing, and so it was a really good time. I think she did great. But no, I again, honestly, I mean, there's nothing that you said that I disagree with, in the sense that we've got to do better with supporting our own. And then you brought up the grocery store, and for some reason it made me think about the fact that there's food deserts wherever you find us. I think about the fact that where I live versus where I worked in South Dallas. It was frustrating because on days when I didn't bring my lunch, I would get frustrated because I didn't want fried chicken. But it was literally a Williams Chicken across the street. It's a Williams Chicken across the street. Further down, you got another Chicken Shack. A little further up is a Jack in the Box and a McDonald's, and that's it. And it's a little fish place right next to that. But where I live, it's a little bit more variety. A lot less Chicken Shacks. I'll put it that way. A couple of Italian restaurants and so on and so forth. So that really just kind of made me think about that. But yeah, I mean, we kind of just we do it to ourselves sometimes. We get we get the nicer things when we go into other areas, but when we deal with ourselves, we try to give us the scraps, so to speak. So yeah, we can do better. We should do better. We will do better. But I also think that again, that goes to a lot of what Portia has said, and that goes to us coming together and actually having the conversations with each other and going to consortium. I mean, earlier years of consortium, I have seen other programs there. I remember when Fan was there. I remember when Jackson came. You know, so it's happened before. We just got to figure out what it is to get them back and supporting our own.
I agree because I was telling my students at audition, I was like, I remember when I went to the first one, it was good to like see where I stacked up amongst my peers, other HBCU bands, and I met, a Dr. Tim Zachary. That's where I met Paul. That's where I met Aaron Spears. Like all these legends. And I know I just named a bunch of Spartans in a row, but
And we're great.
at all these legends, and I was able to ask them questions, and I remember that. And so for me being on the other side, it was surreal for me conducting a collegiate ensemble because I got to bring a high school, and then I was a student, at the first few ones. So I was like, man, this is crazy. And I just told my students, about that experience and how it can make them better. I got a picture with Mr. Holton working with one of my saxophone players, and so I'm like, man, like this stuff is priceless, and it really ticks me off. Band programs make a priority of going XYZ, bow the bands, this, that, and the third, or whatever, and then they can't fit this in their schedule. And sometimes things happen. We get it, but it's like it's not a priority to come, and that bothers me because it's a really good experience seeing all of those together and them playing. And these are some individuals that may be colleagues, you know what I'm saying, and working together and all help each other out in some way, shape, or form, and so that it's a little, not I won't say discouraging, but deflating, when you just don't see certain folks, you know what
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother. Man, I appreciate you, Chuck. As always, man. It's been a while since I've seen you in person. We gotta find a way to link up at some point. But I
I'm saying?
noticed that hair is getting a little grayer, so they must be
Um,
working you to
they
death,
got
brother.
the LeBron James going on, man.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
Portia, what you got?
I'm gonna take this liberty. Tell my birthday twin, yeah, shout out. It's
I,
coming. Our day coming.
yeah,
Yeah.
your day is coming. Your day is coming. And I got to shout out my students. We just did we established re-auditions this year, so everybody in the band program had to re-audition, and that's why I'm just getting home about an hour. All of our- So shout out, very proud of them. Put a little fire underneath their tail, and they've been responding. So I'm just thankful to get an opportunity to work with them.
Absolutely, brother. Man, I appreciate you once again, man. Keep doing the great work, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. All right. We have a legend coming in here. The reality is here it is. She gonna act like she's not legendary, but in the game that we in right now, she's legendary. So let's just keep it a buck. So I'm gonna bring in. Oh wait, I will wait till you good. Okay, yeah, she's good. All right. So we have 2/3 of the feature about to come in here. So let me back out. All right. What's going on? What's going on, Sean? You muted. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, y'all, it's been a minute.
It has because you working your butt off. That's why.
This is true. This is very true. I'm just coming from rehearsal. I was driving most of the time while I was listening to y'all. I was driving. So getting home from rehearsal.
Well, I'm glad you didn't drive and comment.
Me too. Me too. But I had first of all, Chuck, thank you so much, for your kind words. We worked really, really, really hard. And as you know, Miss Shauna is now one of our board members. And so, we got Alabama A&M on board, and Um, um, Ms. Nikisha Burks, the color guard director, she won color guard director of the year. And so yeah, it's we worked really really hard to try and make the conference better um, than it was last year, and we think we did that. Y'all know we had a little bit of stuff going on before we started on Thursday, but we worked through it. But one thing I will say is that I want to comment on just a lot of things you said. First of all, Crystal, oh my God, you were just a word, just a word,
She be
because
preaching.
preaching, like, just imagine being a dance team coach. Just imagine. And I'm dealing with those very things that she was talking about. I'm dealing with that right now, like right this minute. So, I mean, just imagine, first of all, you're dealing with young people, and then you're dealing with a bunch of women. Woo, child. It's a lot. It's a lot. And trying to explain to them um, about emotional maturity and what it needs, what you need to grow that, and what's the reason for even wanting to have it, because social media has tainted our young people into thinking that they don't need emotional maturity. They don't need to think about anything. They can just feel how they want to feel and do what they want to do. The sense of entitlement is unreal. Unreal. I had my auditions on Saturday. I'm still getting emails. Well, can you please put me on the team? No, no, you can't. So it's, these are the things we did. Social media has, in my opinion, this is my opinion. I'm saying, I've said what I said. Don't at me. None of that. Social media is one of the largest contributors to the downfall of HBCU dance. I don't care what you say. And you can sit here and say, oh, yeah, but look at all the opportunities, and you see them on TV now, and they doing this and they doing that. But y'all don't understand what's going on the flip side of that. Y'all don't understand what we got to deal with on a daily basis. We got people that's, not fulfilling their dreams and not doing what they want to do or what they should be doing because they're afraid about what some people that ain't never danced a lick of a day in their life, like what they gonna say. Everybody wants to be a critic. Everybody wants to critique, and they making
with
money.
no credentials.
No credentials whatsoever, and no credentials, and they making money off of it. So, it's crazy, and so with the conference this year, our tagline or our theme for the conference, and I think we should have pumped it up a little bit more, but our theme was on our terms. On our terms. Ours. So, I think what we're saying is, I have had educators across the country and in Texas in particular tell me that they need what we're giving them, and that they believe we can do it on our own, and they believe that, and we have to believe that. We all have to believe it. And yeah, it might be jacked up at first, or it might be jacked up for a while, but it's never too late to turn it around. It's never too late to turn it around. And I'm not giving up. I'm not going to give up. I'm definitely, consortium, holds a special place in my heart. Y'all know that. So I'm not giving up. Now, I might use a few cuss words here and there, but I'm not giving up. So, I mean, I want all the educators out there, all the musicians, all the band directors, please consider going to consortium. We can't do it without you. Do we have pettiness and competition? Yes. And there are people who smile in my face every day and then go back and talk smack. So we can do our own thing. Oh, well, let me know when you want to do it. I will support you as well. you know. So I just think that we have to support our own. Are there people out there that are taking advantage and who they aren't worthy? Yes, there are people out there doing it, but we also need to keep our eyes open for the people out there who genuinely want to help and who genuinely want to be there for us. And I take my sponsors very seriously, and who sponsors us, and I don't reach out to just anybody. I don't, you know, it has to make sense for us, and we are in control. Us. So, I just want to come on and say thank you for what you do. And, I watch you guys. I don't always comment, but I always watch y'all. And Portia, I miss you, girl.
It was a lot going on, but my goal is to be back next year.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
it was a lot going on up here, but yeah,
I,
my goal is to be back next year.
I understand. I understand. We are some busy people. We are some busy, busy people, and now we've got to learn. I had to cancel my spring show. I have a spring show every year. I had to cancel it because we just don't. We're so busy performing at all these different events and all this different stuff. The university has us performing that stuff. We were in Tyler, Texas, just this past Friday, just everywhere, and so we didn't have enough time to really perfect our show. So we ended up
I
canceling.
feel like the seasons are getting longer and longer.
Yeah, yeah, we
The
are.
seasons are getting I don't know, but yeah, what you're experiencing, and that's the thing. Like we're all experiencing, we're at different locations, different universities, different squads, but we're all experiencing the same stuff.
Yep,
Like auditions have turned into this whole thing. I'm, videotaping because I need records. I'm even taping my checkoffs now because people don't like that they didn't make the field. I'm sorry, I can't hide you with a 6 foot
exactly.
pole in your hand. We can see you, So
Exactly.
either you know it or you don't. And you said it's adversely and negatively impacted dance. I think it's all banned, all banned because everybody's shifting to this is what's right, that's what's wrong. Everybody's a critic. Everybody has something to say. If you're doing anything different, that's not good. It has just turned this thing into something that I never imagined it would be. And it's just transformed these students into like accountability is just like foreign. What do you mean I didn't check off?
Right,
What do you mean I didn't make the squad?
right,
And then
right.
why would you email me after auditions is over and say, why am I not on the squad? Like, what are we doing? And
And,
it's not, I don't
and
know.
don't get me wrong, I don't mind giving feedback.
Absolutely.
I really don't mind giving feedback at all. But it's just not a cool
After the
thing.
feedback is still a follow-up, a
Yeah,
rebuttal.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
know, it's making it more work than
Yeah,
already
it's a lot of work. We have to record every bit of our
everything because you have to be able to prove
proof what happened.
everything because
Yeah,
otherwise you don't like me.
right.
You're picking on me.
Or you'll end up in the president's
Do
office.
you hear me? Why isn't such and such out there? I'm sorry. What do you know about color guard?
Yeah.
So it's yeah.
Yeah, and it has impacted our bands as well. And I would one thing that the gentleman before Chuck, forgive me for not knowing his name, but the thing that he said,
Will.
yeah, the thing that he said about, um, and ooh, Justin, forgive me, I love you, Justin, but we need we need to we need to start encouraging people to start attending these battles and halftime shows and uh, in person again. We're spending thousands. These band programs are spending thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on equipment media team, also that we can sound good and look, and look good and all this other stuff, and what people don't understand is that it's never gonna look and sound the way it really is if you were there. And I know we've had competitions. PV Southern is always a very interesting battle. And the last time that Southern came to PV, it was quite the battle. It was quite the battle, but you never would have known that from the videos. You needed to be there. And when the lights in the stadium went out and everybody started cheering and lost their mind, and the stadium was just electric, like you needed to be there. You know what I'm saying? And so we need to. So I'm not saying that Smash Time and everybody else that y'all shouldn't still record. That's not what I'm saying. You should still record because your services are needed, definitely needed. But we still need people to come, like come to the game, come to the game, come to the battle. You know, be there in person.
So, couple of things I have to say. First of all, she's not wrong. I've said it on multiple occasions. But you said you cuss a few times, just a few,
Listen,
just a few.
why are
Brother
you
Moore,
playing with me?
Brother Moore was in there too. He was like, "You cuss? No, no, exactly a few." So
Yeah, I'm from Louisiana. And yeah, I cuss like I'm from Louisiana. There it is.
yeah. But the other thing was, what you were talking about. I don't understand what our issue is with truly having and building community. Because when you were talking about, what you've built and how you're going to continue to push it regardless of what happens, one of the things you did say is some people will come and they'll smile at you and then turn around and be like, well, I do it myself. I'll be like, well, what's wrong with collaborating? What's wrong with community? What's wrong with doing it that way? And so that was just kind of one of the things that I thought about, when you said that. And then the last thing is, see, ladies and gentlemen, this is why we need to bring the feature back. So if anybody out, see, now I got to do a quick plug. If you know any dancers or anything that don't mind being on camera, because that typically is usually the thing. Like I'm too scared to be on camera. I don't know what. Listen, you be fine. I got a community of people here that will not let you go off the rails, because they got jobs too. So
Right. Hello.
right. So
That pay my real bills.
facts. So
Right.
if you want to join this community of auxiliary here on the Passionist Network, we have been looking to bring back the feature since we had to cut it short, unfortunately.
Julian been looking to bring it back.
Okay,
Portia
well,
got a lot going on, and so do Sean. But I'm gonna let you have this moment.
I'll come in as a guest, as a special guest. I would love to.
all right, there we go. So okay, so yes, it's me then. All right. Because I think honestly, as a director, I think that these conversations are important, because it gives us insight. Typically, I mean, let's be honest. There are a few dance podcasts out there. Some by people who have never danced, and then opinionated people or whatever, and there are a few by people that have danced before and so on and so forth. But on average, you don't get a lot of directors who stop by those podcasts because they think it's specifically for dancers or auxiliary. I want to create a space where everybody can come through and get the knowledge and the information that they need to know, and things that they never thought of, and just hear some of the conversations that they never would generally hear, if they were not in that space. So that's why I want to do it, Portia. But if you are or know someone who is interested in rebuilding the panel for the feature, I am all for it. Just email me or us at passionis1919 at gmail.com, or you can go to the Real Talk That Talk Instagram and DM us there. There we
And
go.
I'll send you the names of some people that I think would be great. I think would be good at it. And I think, we have some former coaches, they have a little less to lose than we do, but, some former coaches that would probably do well. But there is a message that needs to get out, just like what you guys are doing here for the band world and the music educator world. The message, there are some things that just need to be said and need to be heard, and that's one of the things we do at the conference. Is we do a HBCU mock audition. We have workshops for the coaches and the students to let them understand what is expected of them on an HBCU team and why we do the things the way that we do things. And so that's all important information that needs to get out.
Absolutely. And I don't disagree with you one bit. One bit. I knew what it felt like as a head director, not having an auxiliary person. But then I got a bunch of girls like, Mr. Luke, what do we do with this? And I'm like, I don't know. I had to fly by the seat of my pants and figure it all out. And so again, I just think that it's information and things that we all need and we need to see. And I told you who I was trying to get from the beginning too, but you said she'd be busy. So
Who's that?
What's baby's name from Alabama State? The one that was at your the one that was at the convention this past Sunday. I can't remember her name right now.
Bridget?
Not Bridget.
Not Bridget.
No.
From Alabama State. A dancer?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many.
I know. Give me a second. I'll remember in a second. But yeah, Sean, you already know I just appreciate you. I mean, you've known me since I didn't have facial hair, so yeah. So, but no, I definitely appreciate you. I told you before, I appreciate all the stuff that you do, and continue to do. So,
y'all know that this is in my blood. My line brother knows this is in my blood from when I was 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, sitting outside on the driveway listening to the Southern University Marching Band practice because my brother was in the band in the 70s. So I grew up with this, and I wouldn't have it any other way. This is where I want to be. So I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm going to offer any advice that I can to consortium, as so that we can, we should be working together. And that's another thing that I definitely wanted to bring up, is that there has been a history of band auxiliary, and we got to do this now. We have to. We just have to. And I mean,
I agree.
it just it just makes sense. It just makes sense. We need to be here. And just like Chuck was saying that, well, they told me that some of the students wanted to come out of the concert and come to our performance, and vice versa. There were performers that wanted to go over to the band concerts and support, their fellow students. So, we need to work this together. We need to rise. We need to rise together, and don't feel bad about stealing stuff. Look. I went to Texas Dance Educator Association in January, and I looked at everything they did and brought it back. So listen, don't reinvent the wheel.
we got all the tools in front of us to be able to create what you need to create.
Right
I
there.
mean, that's just what it is. It was Jasmine, by the way.
Jasmine,
Yeah.
Whitehurst.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd be great. She would be good.
I tried to get her. But she ghosted me though. I guess she thought I was trying to holler. It wasn't like that. But anyway, I'm just saying. No, but no, Sean, I appreciate you for all that you do, and the words of wisdom that you provide.
Anytime, anytime. Y'all have a good night.
You too. Get you some rest.
I shall. And I will tell Dr. Zachary y'all said, what's up?
Yes, please do. All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right. This has been longer episode than I thought. I was really gonna cut it off at the hour mark. Like my last. This is funny. My last question is ruining lives a number one goal for social media? That was the last question. That was
We
2
talked
hours
about
ago.
that. Oh, yeah, a
That
while
was
ago.
that
But I
was an
think we
hour ago.
needed to have this conversation.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So I was gonna go through some comments, but it's late at this point. People got to go to work. I surely got to get to work tomorrow. Tomorrow's my long day at work. And I have to go do some more, patch some more lighting fixtures and everything else. I know you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but it's all good. So with that being said, Portia, any final thoughts? Anything you got for the culture?
Social media is not reality. And so you need to be a good person and to be considerate in real life. And just be careful how you treat people in real life and on social media, because there are real people associated with all of this. So understanding social media versus reality is something that we all need to be more focused on.
I like. What I'm definitely going to say, man, brother Eric, man, it's been so long. I got to talk to y'all about real quick about Eric before we get out of here. I met Eric my first year ever teaching drum corps. We were both techs together, and such a good guy, great trumpet player. He went off to, I think it was Ball, and got his, I think it was his doctorate degree in performance, and you know, I've been looking at him doing some great things. So Eric, I appreciate you for stopping by. It has definitely been a while since we've seen each other and been in the same room with each other, man, but I'm so proud of you and the work that you've done. But with that being said, though, let me get ready to close up by saying this, man. Always be slow to speak and quick to listen. Okay. I understand that we want to try to emotionally grab onto certain conversations and certain things that people are talking about, especially if there are people who are really close to us. Even though we always want to try to make sure that we get as much knowledge as we possibly can before we make a decision. Don't be a part of the group think. Think outside of the box. Be that person who has the other thought. Be the person who goes the other way. Just because the world is going left does not mean you need to go left with them, especially if you know that morally that it's not correct. All right. So with that being said, man, I appreciate you guys. Remember, we will be back, not next week. Portia ain't gonna be here. Portia ain't gonna be here. So y'all say y'all goodbyes. She may come back a little darker when we see her, because she's going to have a little fun in the sun. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Well, I don't know what the topic's gonna be in 2 weeks. Let's see what happens in this band community, because I was gonna have a topic this week, but these last 2 weeks has been just absolutely nuts. So with that being said, man, we have nothing else, and we will see. Well, I will see you all in 2 weeks.